In this episode of The Art of Relationships, we're diving into Dating 101. So it's a no-fluff guide for how to date well in a way that honors God, protects your heart, and sets the foundation for a healthy future relationship. So whether it's that first date, assessing red and green flags, we'll unpack what it looks like to approach dating with intentionality, emotional health, and biblical wisdom.
Welcome to The Art of Relationships. This podcast is produced by the Biola University Center for Marriage and Relationships. Let's get right into it.
Lisa, welcome to another Art of Relationships podcast.
Yes, good to be here with you.
Yeah, good to be with y'all. Thanks for the introduction there, Mandy. And so, Lisa, let's dive right into the topic. I think probably the biggest question after marriage we get is about dating.
Yeah.
And how to date well. And at least tell me about this confusing kind of times we're in when it comes to dating. Every culture has dating issues, in my opinion. Some just kind of circumvent it and just go, okay, we're just going to arrange marriages. No dating, right?
Oh gosh, can you imagine going back to that? That frightens me because I think about who my mom thought was cute, like when I was in high school or college. At least I think you ought to date so-and-so. And there's like, oh, there's no way. So thank God that we don't have, literally thank God we don't have arranged marriages.
Yeah, not where we're at right now. We did try to do that with our children, and it didn't work out very well. They actually, it was fun to think about, right? But I don't want to make that decision.
No. We let the Lord make that decision. And actually, the Lord did really well. We have awesome in-law kids.
Yeah, we do.
Great. We're grateful.
But what does make it confusing, I think, a little bit in this culture is people kind of can go on different extremes, right? Where let's say they are deciding to date, they can find themselves in a perpetual situationship, right? They're just kind of with somebody, and all of a sudden, 4 or 5 years go by, and they really haven't clarified much or had any purpose in it.
Or serial dating, where it's just one person after another, after another, after another, without much thought to it.
Yeah. What's another kind? Then they have those that are almost dating as if it's like a mini marriage.
Yeah, we're dating and unconditional love. And how do I, love my boyfriend or girlfriend, with deep commitment. And yeah, it's too serious, too quick. Yeah,
Okay.
without real clarity of where they're going, maybe.
Do you think we need to start the whole conversation about the purpose of dating? What do you think? What is the purpose, right? Well, I don't want to be alone. I want to hang out with somebody. I don't want to spend my weekends, with my friends again, or, in a room by myself. I'd rather, I think people would say, have somebody that I can enjoy life with, but that's not really the purpose, just to make you happy, right? It's not the purpose just to me not being alone. What is the purpose? What would you say if someone asked you, what's the purpose of dating?
Well, Gary Thomas has a really famous saying about marriage, that the purpose of marriage is not to make us happy, right, but to make us holy.
Right.
And so I would go, that next logical step is that you take a step backwards from that. I believe, and I would say our center, what we would teach is that dating is not to make us happy, but to make us holy, to draw us and the person we're dating closer to Christ. As we get to know a person, we get to know ourselves better. We get to kind of have a mirror held up to us a little bit to see where's our rough edges. Also to clarify, what am I looking for in a long-term commitment and marriage partner? And is this relationship that I'm in, is it drawing me closer to Christ?
Man, that's good. I wasn't a Christian when I first started dating, and then in college, after I became a Christian, I remember thinking that, okay, I get this. Dating is supposed to do something more than just, kind of what we were talking about. It's supposed to, I guess, prepare you or set you up or see those, like you said, rough edges, right? And but it's also to do something else spiritually, right? It's to grow you and to figure out um what you're like almost. And I remember learning early on, like when I dated early on, I learned that there are some like personality types or some spiritual temperament types that were really, attractive. And then there were some that were like, okay, I think I can avoid these. But if I wasn't dating, I would have never known that I didn't like this. So as you get to see what do they call it, front porch? Yeah,
Yeah.
the thing that everybody shows to the world, right? Your personality and all that. But then as you get to know them, you see the stuff that goes on that maybe isn't as, maybe healthy or maybe isn't as attractive.
Right. So what you're saying is that clarity really developed for you, not only about yourself, some issues that maybe the Lord's dealing with you, and you're ready for some growth and development in that area. But I think what I hear you saying is that it's also a time to really ascertain what you're looking for in another partner, to clarify in your mind. Oh, I didn't realize that this issue's kind of an issue for me and is important to me in somebody that I date. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, and, yes, in both, let's say, spiritual, areas, like, how do they love God? How do they, show their, walk with Jesus? Their, where is their heart? How do they treat other people? Then you also so it takes discernment, doesn't it? You take spiritual discernment. It takes emotional maturity because you gotta stop looking out for just you and just me, time of going, "Well, I'm pretty selfish in this area."
Yeah.
So it takes those kinds of things, and then I think it also takes a group of people around you that would give you feedback and advice and, in doing this well. What do you think?
Yeah, maintaining your community around yourself is so important, because I think when we start to date, and especially if you really like the person, it is so tempting to just pour all your extra time and attention into that relationship, into that person, because they're delightful and you're really enjoying it. And every spare moment, you just want to be with them. But too often, we do it to the detriment of our friendships, our family relationships, our other, maybe even our vocation, our ministry that we're called to do, as opposed to incorporating that new relationship into these other ones as well and maintaining them.
It's a tough balance.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Knowing, uh, how do I spend time with this person to get to know them better, but also how do I maintain and still, there's no commitment here, that's lifelong,
Yeah.
but yet it's a friendship. So, okay,
Exactly.
let's dive in then to this idea, and let's talk about, we talked about the purpose of dating, right? Um, are there other principles that you would say are foundational to dating well, that you would add?
Yeah. Well, I really believe that there's three purposes as we're talking about. First of all, what's honoring to God,
Yeah.
what's honoring to the other person, and then also what's honoring to me. And so looking at the way that our faith and emotional maturity plays into that, one of the things I was thinking about is, first of all, as a believer, one of the things that I see our college students dealing with, the not even just young adults, maybe, you're even older
Sure.
in life, or maybe you've lost your marriage for one reason or another. But one of the areas that I think Christians really struggle in is having the commitment to only dating other believers. And I don't mean people that, oh, they go to church, so they're fine. Oh, they said they're Christians, so they're good. We're good to go.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more than just not only dating another Christian and setting that as a baseline, that we are called to not be unequally yoked in heart, in mind, in faith, in our values. And so I think finding out, but that's going to require that you find out pretty quickly where they stand spiritually, especially if it's somebody that you've just recently met and you're just getting to know.
How would you do that? Getting to know another person at that level takes some vulnerability. You may not want that conversation, early on if it goes pretty deep, but hopefully you know enough about the person before you start dating, right? Then you've seen them in places and you have friends that know them.
Yeah, I know. I think also as you're getting to know them, maybe you're going for coffee the first time. I would say in that first coffee date, if you haven't heard them mention their relationship with Jesus, that they don't talk about how important their faith is to them, just just even in an introductory way, like, yeah, I want to get to know you, Chris. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And one of the first things I would want to hear or I would want to learn on that first coffee date before we're ever getting to the point of deciding, oh, are we going to, see where this goes, is I'm going to want to know, where are you with Jesus? How important is that to you? Because, I mean, it's going to be a good indication that they're involved in church, right? That they would call themselves a believer. So that's the minimum. But I'm going to want to see, is your faith more than just going to church on Sunday mornings? Like, what does that look like? What does that sound like? Because that's going to determine whether or not it is wise. That's the discernment we're talking about. Whether or not it is wise to open my heart, to be vulnerable to this person if they are not deeply connected and walking with Jesus.
Oh, that's good. Lisa, it reminds me, I met a girl, high school, and somehow we decided to go on a date. I don't remember the circumstance. She was from a different part of town, or whatever.
A cheerleader, no doubt.
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, probably. I don't know. But anyway, I go over to her house, and the plan was, to maybe go grab coffee. Back then, going to a movie was really the rage or whatever, and we did it. Well, it was both the strangest and in retrospect, the most refreshing thing that happened. I get there. I mean, I know God exists at this time, but I don't know him on a personal level. I'm not in church. I'm not seeking him. I just really, pre-Christian days. And I go to her house, and she comes out, and basically, her parents, her dad in particular, really wanted to know where I stood and what I believed.
Really?
Yeah. And I think I remember saying, oh yeah, I believe it. But they asked kind of, I wish I could remember the exact questions, but my answers apparently didn't satisfy them, because not only did we not go on we stayed out literally on her front porch and just sat there and talked for a while.
Which I'm glad her dad was really happy about.
Oh yeah, because we just sat right there, and that was
Like,
it.
I'm watching you, boy.
We never went on the quote date, past her house. Well, I didn't really understand it. I thought it was kind of weird, at the time. Didn't give it much thought, but now I look back and I realize, man, there was somebody, she and her family and whoever decided she's not going to date anybody that wasn't walking, that didn't know God. And now I'm like, well, I respect that now.
So, there's a show that's on now. It's called, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's called Pop the Balloon. Have you seen it, Tatum? Pop the Balloon. Okay, it's a dating show. I've just seen it like on YouTube or.
And then they're all holding.
Yeah, there's like a line of.
Like
Yeah, there's like a line of 10 girls and the one guy that's coming to choose the girl to date. And I was watching this episode of it, and one of the things that this guy said was, yeah, my faith is really important to me. God is really important. So I think he was asked, like, what's one of your lines in the sand? Like, it has to be there in order to date a girl. And the girls all still have their balloons, right? And they can pop their balloon if they're like, nah, I don't want to go out with that guy.
Right.
Or he can walk up to them and pop their balloon if he's saying, yeah, I don't want to go out with you. And it's just a series of questions, whittling it down to the one person. And then, will you go out with him? Do you want to go out with her? Great. It's a match. So anyway, it's fascinating to watch. But this guy gets on there and he's talking about how important God is to him. And that's his red line in the sand, right? Is I want somebody who, and they always refer to it as God-fearing, which I find is an interesting phrase, God-fearing. It's like, okay. But as they went down the line of these women, asking them about their faith journey, some were very clear that, yeah, I would say I'm kind of an agnostic. I don't really know if there's a God, but I'm open to it. And, there are some like, yeah, that's just not part of my life journey. And even asking that question, those women that it's not part of their journey, they would pop their balloon. They're like, yeah, it's like tapping out. I'm out. It's not for me. But there were some women that would answer this question, and this to me was like a flashing neon sign to run away, is that they would say, well, I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual. I'm not really religious, but I'm spiritual. That to me, I don't know if that would be a red today, if that would you say that is a red flag to me? Maybe it's a yellow flag to some people, but to me, that just screams, you are not serious about Jesus, you don't really know him, and you aren't pursuing him with gazelle-like intensity. You're kind of like in that realm of religious things, spirituality is interesting to me, but I'm not locked in with my relationship with Jesus. That's what it tells me. So that would be a big red flag to me.
Okay, yeah. No, I think is it possible that somebody who answers that really says, I just don't like the formality. So I remember I would have answered that, and you would have been correct in your diagnosis of me. But I also, that it also meant that I was distrustful of, the religious orthodoxy, right? Or the particular church, or everybody, some people, you have to go to church every day and Sunday, and, twice on Saturday, you have to go to Matt, whatever. And I think, okay, I'm not religious like that. But my heart's open to who God is, so there are nuances. And so really, I think what you're saying, Lise, is that deserves a follow-up question.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's at best a yellow flag, if not a red flag. For me, it would have been.
and what follow-up question would you want to ask next? You would say, all right, so you would say it's more spirituality than religiosity. What would you want to do next?
I would probably want to just
Define spirituality.
yeah,
for me.
exactly. Like when you say spirituality, what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
And like what books, what people, what experiences have been influential in your spiritual journey? In your opinion, how do you believe? Do you believe you'll go to heaven? And if so, why do you think you will? Like and just in your own mind, and not in an accusing way,
No,
but just open, listening. And I just want to listen and really hear their heart. Okay, so this begs the question: missionary dating.
I don't know what that
But okay, missionary dating where they're not a Christian, but they're really nice. They have a lot of potential. They're open to God. So I'm gonna go out with him and invite him to church and see if he'll come to church and do some things like that. So if he'll go to Bible study with me, because I believe that he could become a Christian, or she could become a Christian. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think in this whole realm, to me, you have to have a heart if you're going into dating like this, or just dating in general. I think your heart has to be open to be like you said, hearing, listening, learning, appreciating, and that really comes down to discernment. And there could be very, very times in which a person would go, wow, this guy, he or she may not know God in the way I know him. He may not have a personal walk with Jesus, but there's something about him. There's something about his heart, and that's spiritual discernment. I don't know if I would recommend you start dating, but I think you start a friendship, right? And you at least begin the process of saying, all right, Lord, maybe I can play a role in this person's life. But if you're looking for dating, I think that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
If you're looking just to get to know somebody, hang out with them, potentially think about, dating in the future if the person does align with you spiritually. I could see that, right? But not in a dating way, the missionary dating where I'll bring them to church and bring them to Jesus. I'm not really keen on that.
Yeah.
And I think you aren't. I think you would disagree with that as well.
Yeah, I think if we had a student come in that came in for counseling and was asking a question like that, I would issue them a strong caution. Because one of the things we always say is that you date for patterns, not potential. Because you have no guarantee that they're going to live up to that potential. And if you've spent a lot of time investing your emotions and your heart in this relationship and they don't live up to that potential of really coming to faith in Christ and a vibrant relationship with Him, then you're in a relationship that the Lord cannot and will not bless, because He's said, "Don't be yoked with unbelievers." And so that's a really sad, hard place to be when you can't expect the Lord to bless that relationship.
Yeah. No, that's
It's a big risk.
okay.
A big risk.
Oh, let me ask you this, Lise. When it comes to, let's suppose now that the other person's cleared the bar. They have
That foundational bar.
that
Yeah.
foundational bar.
Mhm.
There are still things related to discernment and spirituality that you have to. I mean, that's not like, oh, good, he's a Christian or she's a Christian. Let's get married, right? There's so many layers to the next level, right? That's just a foundational, bar. What are those? What would you say? Well, I'll start with some. Okay, and it's a mix of spiritual things and personality things. One, just the idea of emotional maturity. You see how they treat other people, that can do nothing for them, right? How do they treat the person that is maybe other people wouldn't give the time of day to, or that kind of odd person in the dorm that everybody is like, oh, gotta stay away from him. How do they treat them? Is it with respect and kindness? So you could learn a lot about a person's heart and emotional maturity by the way they interact with others.
Yeah, I like.
What else would you say? So do they? Is there another bar in that regard? Maybe emotionally or spiritual?
Yeah, one that I think we definitely need to look for is strong communication skills. And that has to do with emotional maturity, right? That you're able to be honest with kindness, speaking the truth with love, right? So they're able to be honest, they're able to be vulnerable. Are they able to apologize when they're wrong, or if they've hurt you? Are they able to ask for forgiveness? Are they quick to extend forgiveness if you apologize? Or do they keep bringing it up and beat you up with it? What else? What else do you think?
So it means you'd have to date, Lisa, in order to kind of figure those things out, because the more you get to know someone, then you're more likely to see these things. You're more likely to need to apologize for something and then see about forgiveness. That's good.
And I think too, another part of, maybe an element, a facet of that emotional maturity, has to do with your character. Is this person someone who is dependable? Do they do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it? So are they dependable? Are they trustworthy?
Yeah.
Are they someone that can hold a confidence, or if they even in how they behave around the opposite sex.
Okay.
If you're dating, you're thinking about dating, how are they when the opposite sex is around? Do they continue to treat you with honor and preference, or are they kind of flirty in front of you and around you and with other people in a way that is like, whoa, Okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, that's
I'm not
feel
sure.
trustworthy and
Yeah.
dependable. I like that. Hey, Lisa, listen to this. In research in psychology, one of the things that we find that is, uh, uh, to me, one of the most revealing part about your personality and any other person's personality is recognizing what are the biggest five, let's say, traits of personality, right? And you just identified one, conscientiousness. They're ethical or dependable, that you see how they treat you, trustworthy, right? And for many people, that should be high on the scale, that someone is like that. The traits and that personality that I'm referring to, I think that could be so helpful in dating, is called Ocean. It's called the Big Five personality traits. All right. So there's probably over almost 60 years now of good research showing that most personality assessments and questionnaires online are not worth it. All right. Most are just like, all right, this is fun. It's fun for conversation. And but one that really stands out for psychologists, for those who study this, this is their kind of life research is in this area of personality, is the big five personality traits. So let's go through them real quick. Ocean, that's openness to new experiences. What you can learn about another person is, do you want to be with somebody who's kind of open to new experiences? They're like maybe a little non-conforming. They're like, let's go try this. Let's go see this. Let's go. And you could be either high to that or low. There's nothing right or wrong, right? Some people are like, yeah, I want to go off and do all these crazy things. And you can learn a lot about, are you attracted to someone who is with you
Risk it for the biscuit. Is kind of like, let's just go try. It's totally you. Yeah, you're adventuresome. And I am too. And we love that about each other.
Yep.
Right?
I remember one day someone came to us here when we were new faculty and said, hey, would you take some students to Russia?
Yeah.
And I remember going home and would you first of all study the Russian language,
And you said, da.
and then, take, a bunch of college students over there for a summer to live. And I remember going home and saying, listen, this is an interesting thing someone offered. What do you think? And you're like, let's do it. Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, we did it. It was awesome. And okay, so one of the cool, best tools, it's called Ocean. By the way, if you want to find it, you can go to www.outofservice.com/big5. Maybe we'll put it up on the screen, but
We can put a link to.
I think when you're dating, you should both take that for yourself and for the other person. You would have scored high on openness, Ocean. So do I. The next one, C, conscientiousness, what you just described. Are they ethical? Are they dependable?
Do they have integrity?
Yeah, integrity, trustworthy, or are they kind of like, sketch, I guess, or sus, whatever it is. And that whole, scale there with conscientiousness. The E, extroversion, introversion. I think on a date, when you're dating, you got to find out if somebody is like, they're kind of an introvert. I kind of thought that, but I didn't realize they were that shy or socially anxious. And that may be attractive to you. Like, I like the quiet, shy one. It matches me. Or it might be, oh, no way, right? So,
They're off the scale. It's like, I like an introvert, but he is.
have you ever dated a shy introvert?
Well, I married one. Okay, I don't think you're shy, but you are an introvert. You recharge by closing the door, being alone, and not being around people. And I'm very much more extroverted than that. You are a social introvert, which makes it work. So you're able to operate in social
Social introvert.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you are a social introvert, meaning you're an introvert with social capabilities and social tendencies. That's an Alisa Grace comment. I mean, that's not you can look.
In research, social,
You do well in social situations. You can be on stage. You can talk to people, make them feel comfortable. But the way you recharge is to go home, close the door, and to be alone in your own kingdom.
Well, when it comes to money and marriage, we all want clarity and confidence, right? And especially unity with spouses, right? I think, Lisa, that's why we get to work personally with Colby Gilmore of Blue Trust.
That's right. Colby Gilmore, along with other Blue Trust certified wealth strategists, offers personalized, biblically centered financial planning and investment management services, no matter what your income level is.
Lisa, say that title twice. Blue Trust Certified Wealth Strategist. That's a tough
I'm not sure I could.
I know. So they do put clients' best interest first, and they don't sell financial products. I love that about them.
Me too. And you know what? We highly recommend Colby Gilmore and Blue Trust for anyone looking for both financial unity with your spouse and opportunities to increase your wealth and your generosity.
Yeah. So if you guys want to check out ronblue.com or reach out to Colby Gilmore at colby.gilmore@ronblue.com. That's colby.gilmore@ronblue.com. I think you guys will be glad you did. Okay, so we're looking at when we date, we want spiritual discernment, emotional maturity, and some of those are hard to get at, right? To figure them out.
Right.
But one thing that we were talking about was this notion of, okay, assessing another person's personality. You talk about it's hard to do, right? But where we were landed on was these big 5 traits, right? The ocean. And we did openness to new experiences. You're somewhere on that scale, another person and you. The C is conscientiousness, right? You're somewhere there. Extroversion, introversion. And so, yeah, you're a definite introvert, and that was appealing to me. I remember, well, I don't, I dated, people on that scale now that I look back, like, okay, I dated some shy ones. I dated some more outgoing ones. I don't think I really saw a difference except if they were too extroverted. Like, I thought you were a little on the high end of this. I'm really, yeah.
Uh-huh.
You were with a friend, and we went to check grades for you at Texas Tech, and you and your friend Gina, there must have
Shout out to Gina Horton Moon.
there must have been 15 people waiting around to see. Back then they used to the grades on the door,
All 200 in a class.
and then you got to go look at your thing, and there were about 10 people standing around. I remember walking in. All right, this is great. Yeah, I don't know any of these people. I'll just hang out with you guys. You guys were so loud and talkative and joking, and I'm like getting more and more like uncomfortable. All these people are looking at you. What's happening here? Okay, so you're high on that scale.
I was like, I don't care if people are looking. We're having fun.
So when you date, you want to, and again, there's nothing wrong with being either. It's just that you need to know your preference and who you are, what recharges you and what doesn't.
And what you're comfortable
And
with.
what you're comfortable with.
Yes.
The E, so we did already. OC, right? E. Then the A is agreeableness.
What is it?
Agreeableness, right, is that idea of, somebody is just, in general, more agreeable, cheerful, easygoing, and those that are a little bit maybe less so. They're like, okay, there's some people like, I'll see how you do, and if you perform well, I'll be nice, but otherwise I'm just going to treat you kind of whatever.
So what would be an example of agreeableness in dating? Could it be like, I don't know, like, hey, you want to go get something to eat? Yeah, okay. What sounds good to you?
Perfect. And then they're able to, let's suppose you ask somebody what sounds great, and they say, well, you know what sounds really good? I like either Mexican or Italian, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty open, but those are my preferences. What do you think? They like, oh man, I've been just wanting pizza. Like, well, let's go. That sounds good.
It's like, really? We can go? Oh, okay. We'll go. We'll definitely go do the other one next time. Like, I know somebody that, like, okay, here would be another example using that same situation of going out to eat. Let's say that you really love Chinese food, and I really don't care for it. But part of being agreeable is being able to say, you know what, it's not my favorite, but because you enjoy it, let's go do that. Yeah. And doing it with a happy face and not huffing and puffing and whining and being cranky the whole time we're there.
Yeah.
So that would be an example of agreeableness.
Yeah, it would be. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're looking for somebody again that
Mirrors you.
yeah, but I'm dating a person in college, and I thought she was yeah, I didn't think she was highly agreeable or cheerful, but she wasn't, like a
Ogre.
yeah, like an odor, right? That's a good word. She wasn't Shrek. Um, but in a situation in which there was stress, I noticed cheerfulness went out the window, man. It was like, okay. One time I was messing around, took a piece of paper, wadded it up, and she's studying, I'm studying, I just, threw it at her. Man, she's like, stop it, I'm busy, whatever. It's just the opposite of cheerfulness. And I remember going, all right. So what did I do?
You did
5 minutes later, I want a piece of paper.
Man.
No, man doesn't learn. So, what I did learn that day, though, was I don't really want to date somebody that's kind of like that.
So that's good. You want to learn how do they handle stress? How do they handle disappointment? How do they handle conflict?
Yeah. And the Muehlhoffs, Tim Muehlhoff, great author, him and his wife, Noreen, go check out all their books. There's some amazing ones out there. But he was our co-host in this podcast for
Friend.
But Tim would say, and Noreen, that you don't just date for one season and get to know. You have to see somebody spring, summer, winter, fall. I think, yeah,
And at least twice through the year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, meaning you want to see them when things are really good in the spring. It's all fun and new, and see how they act. And in the summer, when it can get, start getting a little hot, and see how they react and respond. Fall, you get the example, and that is the best gauge by which you can start to determine some of these personality
Right.
things.
You want to see them in different situations and how they handle it. How are they with their family? What are those family interactions like? Am I okay with that? Am I good with that? And pay attention to that, because you don't just marry that person, you marry the family.
Yeah, so what if you're dating somebody? We'll finish the personality ones here in a second, but let's just take a quick rabbit trail with that family. I mean, family of origin's important, right? You will learn a little bit about that. Now, it's not the determining factor. That individual is that individual. They're created and designed by God individually. They can come from a rotten family and be a wonderful person.
Right.
And they can come from a wonderful family and be a rotten person. It's just that it's a variable to look at.
Right.
And it's also, how do they respond? If it was a great person, let's say, in a horrible family, are they seeking help? Are they seeking treatment? I know a kid here at Biola, horrible family situation, impacted him in so many bad ways. And it was hard for him to date. It was hard for him to even make friends with girls. He just, for some reason, just struggled. Well, today he's married, happily, but it took work. He had to do therapy a little bit, mostly with some counselors, but some, friends and mentors a lot. And he started to go, oh, wait, my mom was wicked. And that set me up for some really messed up things. And I really don't have kind of the capacity and the emotions to figure this out. He is a great person to go, okay, let's see, how did you respond and what are you doing today in light of those past circumstances? You wouldn't want to ignore him because he had a rotten family.
Right.
But just like you wouldn't just give the green light to somebody that comes from this amazing family.
Right. And you want to see the steps that they're taking, that they are taking steps to grow, maybe going through counseling, working with mentors, being discipled to grow in those areas. And maybe you are going to be the instrument that God uses to really pour some grace and healing into that person.
Yeah, that's good. And you just did that. Okay, so let's get back to personality traits. We have the OCE, the A, agreeableness, and then the N is something called neuroticism. The positive is something called surgency.
Okay.
Neuroticism, I guess you could kind of define it as somebody who's kind of anxious, a little bit timid at different times, right? So, but somebody that is high on the neuroticism scale is they're a little bit more well, you can kind of come up with the idea, right? You have this.
Would you say anal? I mean, is that a layman's term? Like, oh man, they're kind of anal about stuff.
definitely a layman's term, and maybe not.
Too pejorative, huh?
It is, but
Okay.
they are a little bit kind of guilt prone, maybe a little bit insecure, or right, a little bit anxious over things, and that's that neurosis. Surgency is they're kind of more the opposite of that, like kind of highly self-confident, and there's this sense, of all right, my walk with God is good, and yeah, I mess up, but I'm gonna work on this and do that
I like
kind of purposeful life almost. So that's the last
I
step.
like that.
Okay, so when you're dating, Lisa, what a great way and a great tool to figure out some of the ways how. So the whole thing we're doing here is how do I discern emotions, personality, spirituality, and discern that in a right way. And we said at the beginning, it takes people, it takes openness and learning and going and watching. It starts with a good foundation.
Yeah.
What else would you add? Anything you want to add for our listeners here as we think through and wrap this up?
Yeah, I would say two more things that I would add to that is that you want to get the input of your close inner circle on their perspective of that person. Because oftentimes our hearts get really deeply involved in the relationship to where we are too willing to have blind spots, meaning we're willing to overlook concerning issues that we really should be paying attention to.
Do you have any examples of like concerning issues, like maybe somebody who is not ethical, right? They kind of cheat a little bit, or they're okay with that.
Or they have anger issues, or they press you, let's say sexually, to go further than you want to go and that you should go, but there's pressure there. Or maybe they're disrespectful to you. I tell you, one of the things that drives me crazy in this area is seeing videos like on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. This couple that is newly married, they're doing the, cut the cake, and then they shove one or the other or both shove the cake in their face. And I've seen cases where the guy, I mean, she's standing there in her beautiful dress, her makeup, her veil, and he takes it and just smashes it on her face and starts laughing about it. And you can see in her face that she is just crushed. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you disrespected me like this, not only in front of everybody, but on our wedding day. That you didn't protect me and care for me. And my first thought is, oh, little girl,
You should have seen
this was not, well, she did. My suspicion is that she did see this. This was not the first instance where something like this happened, where he disrespected you and you were willing to turn a blind eye, or she disrespected you in some way, treated you badly, unkindly, lack of integrity, and you overlooked it and you kept moving forward. And you had people that spoke truth to you. Because one thing to keep in mind is behavior is a language. And when someone tells you with their behavior who they are, you should listen to them and believe them. And so if you have people in your close inner circle, your family, your friends that are like, man, I'm really worried about you and I'm worried about this relationship. You need to give it adequate consideration and honesty with yourself and with them. Are you willing to hear them out and to really consider it?
I love that, Lisa. Behavior is a language, and so what we're doing is we're reading others, right? We can't discern people's hearts. None of us can. Our hearts are wicked and deceitful above all else, right? But we look at patterns and behavior to discern what's going on there. John Gottman talked about this idea of a harsh startup in an argument, and it's similar to what you're talking about. If you're having conflict, and the person immediately goes into this, bam, right?
Oh, they're a 12 on a 0 to 10.
Yeah. Well, even if they're, higher than you're comfortable with, right? Even if it's like, why are you always, they're criticizing, right? It's even then, it's important. It's something to watch out for. And I think that's kind of that idea of the behavior like that. The wedding cake was certainly not the first example, and she ignored it. And then,
Turns my heart.
right, you see those other four, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, as John Gottman and others, right? Defensiveness and criticism and contempt and stonewalling. We've covered those before. Go check out a previous podcast on the four horsemen. But Lise, if you start to see those and you ignore them while you're
To your
dating,
peril.
it's to your
To your peril. And your children's peril.
and your children's peril.
Oh.
All of us,
Yes.
you and me, we're not perfect. There are times in which I wish I didn't have a harsh startup, right? There are times in which I didn't say something that was very critical. So it doesn't mean that is no more dating. It's, all right, are they working on this? Is this the pattern as you said?
Can they repair?
Can they repair?
Yeah, the repair attempt. Okay. So that was one is, do you have a close community who speaks truth to you and you're willing to listen, even if you don't like what they're saying? And then the second one really is, as a believer, to come into this possible relationship, potential relationship, maybe it's ongoing relationship, with a heart that is fully surrendered to the Lord, where you are able to hold your relationship like this, saying, Lord, I want to be yours first and foremost, and this relationship to be yours. And I'm willing to hold it loosely, Lord. If you don't think it's a good idea, then, Lord, I really want you to tell me, and I will be obedient. And Lord, if you're opening the doors and you think this is a great idea, then Lord, build a relationship and help us both to build it in a way that honors you, honors each other, and honors ourselves. And so it's really being open to the Lord and holding it loosely, where if at any point you sense that the Lord is saying, this is not my will, this is not my best for you, and are you willing to lay it down if you know He is saying that? Because if not, you hold on to it, as we said, to ultimately to your peril. And we don't want that for people. We don't want that for others.
At least I know you would say this too, that you would not just pray that you would discern, but that the person you're dating will also make such a commitment and decision to themselves. Hey, that like, Lord, if let me sense, but if the other person also senses this, then that's not a good sign, or that's maybe something else. Well, I think this is probably worth another podcast, because there's so much more we can talk about, red flags, and you could pick out red flags that we've been talking about, we've got covered. And then some things that are really good, like you talk about forgiving and apologizing and
Responsible.
right.
Yeah.
All those.
Vision and clarity, where they're going. And
Yeah, so we did cover it. Maybe we don't need another podcast. This might be the podcast to end all podcasts on.
we don't ever need to do another one.
So we just say give us 2 thumbs up, or push the like button and subscribe to, I don't even know what that means. But send this to your friends that are dating. Go to the cmr.biola.edu website. I think there you can find a ton of material on dating, on engagement, on marriage, everything, relationships.
Yeah, so actually the Art of Relationships is brought to you by Biola University, and we are a part of the Talbot School of Theology now. So you're going to be hearing a little bit more about Talbot School of Theology here at Biola.
Yeah, and so we're grateful to be with you guys, and
Yeah, thanks for sharing your time with us and your day with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Art of Relationships. Okay, bye.
We're very glad you joined us for today's podcast. For more resources on marriage and healthy relationships, please visit our website at cmr.biola.edu. We'll see you next time on The Art of Relationships.